So everyone, let's give a great big round of applause to Disney star Rowan Blanchard.
Hi. Hi, guys.
Great to see you, young lady.
Good to see you.
Please have a seat. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
You were able to get here today via a red-eye flight from Los Angeles to work on her show, accommodate her schedule to be here for the premiere family and their kids.
I'm skipping a day of work today so I can be here, so that's
Yay!
awesome. Yeah.
How awesome is she? And we've been talking to your family about you coming out here for a long time, and we've finally made this possible. So it's so huge that she's here with us today and able to accommodate that. Tell everybody, tell the fans, for maybe the one parent that doesn't know who you are or the one mom that doesn't watch your show, if you would mind telling everyone your name, your character name, and the show you play on.
Okay, so I'm Rowan Blanchard, but I'm on a Disney series called Girl Meets World, and we're in our second season now. It's like he said, it's a continuation of Boy Meets World. We have many of the same characters that were on Boy Meets World, and they had a kid, and the kid is me. So, yeah, the show's been on for a little bit now, and it's been a great response, so I'm really excited to be here. Yeah.
And tell us how the casting process was for you when you went to meet with the people at Disney to even audition for the show.
Gosh, I auditioned in November of 2012, and I went through 8 auditions, I think. And it started with, I actually auditioned for Maya, and probably the kids here know Maya's played by Sabrina, but Sabrina originally auditioned for Riley, and I originally auditioned for Maya, and then we swapped about 2 auditions in, just because they fit, the characters fit our personalities more. But yeah, it was a super long process, and I actually cried in the first audition because Michael Jacobs, who created Boy Meets World and Girl Meets World, he originally Riley was written for like a 15 or 16-year-old girl, and then Danielle, who plays Topanga from Boy Meets World, brought up that you can't really have a coming-of-age story with somebody who's already come of age. So then Michael brought me back, and here we are.
That is so cool. So when you got down to the end of that and then you booked the gig, do you remember the day that you were told that you got the job?
I do. It was my brother's birthday, and we were all having cake, and I had a really good feeling about it. Like, I kind of get that way about projects. Like, if I know something is meant to be, then I kind of just have a good feeling. And so the night we got the call, I didn't, like, freak out because it hadn't really hit me yet. It didn't really hit me until after we filmed the pilot that I realized that it was, like, such a major thing, and that Boy Meets World was such a thing that was appreciated by so many people. And so it didn't hit me until like 6 months after, yeah.
I've seen the fan response, and the parents have such an emotional connection to Boy Meets World, and the fan response to watching your show is as though it never ended.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
It's super cool. We have live audiences every single week, and half the audience will be kids, and half the audience will be, fans of Boy Meets World. And I think that's really, really cool because we're almost able to, I don't want to take full credit, obviously, but we kind of make a bridge for the 2 generations for them to have something to kind of collaborate on and agree on. And so I think that we've done a really good job of, combining stuff for little kids and stuff for, teenagers and stuff for 20-year-olds. And what's really cool also is that on Twitter we'll get like tweets from parents, and they're like, oh, I grew up on Boy Meets World, and here's me with my 5-year-old daughter, and we're watching Girl Meets World now. And that's super special.
That is super special.
Yeah.
Do you get a chance to have any input on the jokes on the show? Any comedy?
I think our cast, like, we obviously have Ben and Danielle, who are 2 of the funniest people I've ever met, but we all kind of just pitch in. Our writers are incredible, but yeah, I think second season, now that we've had, the first season under our belt, we've gotten a lot more comfortable, like, bringing things up to the writers and making suggestions. And sometimes, the suggestions don't end up going, but it's like the idea of, branching out into helping them write, which is really cool.
Do you have any favorite episode from season 1?
Ooh, from season 1, I think Girl Meets 1961 I don't know if anybody knows that episode, but it's the episode where we go back in time. And one of my favorite actress of all time is Audrey Hepburn, and they put us into the 60s, and I was in her funny face costume with the bangs and the black leotard and everything, so that was definitely cool to film.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So when you're on a show like this and you're meeting these kids all over the world, meeting them from the audience, do they have a chance to meet with you after taping?
After the taping, yeah, we try to meet everybody. It's hard, though, because we have to break it up because there's still SAG laws that say that we have to be out by a certain time, but we try to meet everyone, yeah.
How do you balance school?
School comes first, and my parents and I have made a really big point of that. And I'm not just saying that just like stay in school, kids. I'm saying that because honestly, I think at the end of the day, like, acting's great, but school's the thing that's going to stay with you forever. And so my parents have definitely, made a big point about that. So if I'm behind in schoolwork, I'll stay in school for an extra hour rather than go to set.
Do you have a favorite celebrity that's come to visit you on the set of Girl Meets World?
Ooh, a favorite celebrity that came and visited us. I can't really think of one. We've had people from Boy Meets World who I just adore. Will Friedle, who plays Eric Matthews on Boy Meets World, is like, he's a genius comedically, and he wrote an episode of ours that's coming out. But yeah, having him on set is just great because I feel like everybody just kind of loosens up a bit. And he's one that just fully commits. He just fully goes for it. So I think all of us can kind of, on set, take a note from him.
You talked about Audrey Hepburn. Mm-hmm. Your influence as an actor is Audrey Hepburn. Your favorite, and your favorite motion picture from her is?
My Fair Lady, because it combines my two favorite things, which are Audrey Hepburn and Broadway. Yeah.
So you love to sing?
I love to sing. I think I want to sing on Broadway. That's where I want to sing first, yeah.
Because you had a single that came out with the show, right?
Yeah, well, Sabrina and I sang the theme song, yeah.
Which is very catchy.
Yeah, it's a fun theme song. We actually went through like 4 versions of it, and that was the one that we all felt most connected to and kind of brought out what our show's about, so.
And season 2, can you give us any sort of sneak peek as to where things are going?
Yeah, so I think like half of season 2 is aired, and the episodes that are coming up, I know Girl Meets the New Teacher is on tonight, and that is about Riley has a new English teacher, and they kind of have to play this save the school thing, which is really cool. And then we have another episode coming up. It's called Girl Meets Belief, which is one that we just did, which is one of my favorites. And yeah, we've done so many episodes in season 2 where I think we're all so much more comfortable in our character skin and in our own skin as actors. And so I think season 1 was definitely about, establishing our characters, and season 2 we're getting to kind of play more.
What advice would you give to young performers in the business that are here today? Words of wisdom that you think would be really appropriate, because we talk backstage about like social media and all that stuff. How important do you think social media is, and what great advice would you give to these young people?
First off, this is my advice that I always say because it's something that I'm still learning. You're gonna get 500 no's before you get one yes, and that was me with Girl Meets World. Girl Meets World was my first big yes, and everything before that was kind of just, oh no, you're too young, or no, you're too old, or no, you're not blonde, or no, you're not this. So I think that kind of, it almost built my self-esteem up and built my self-confidence, because I would have to keep on telling myself all right, we'll just get the next one. All right, we'll just get the next one. So I think that definitely, helped me in every area. But as far as social media goes, I was just talking about it with everyone back there, and I think social media is a really great tool that we can use, for positive things, but at the end of the day, the amount of followers you have isn't more important than who you are as a person, which I think is a lot of kids I know in the acting world kind of forget that. Yeah.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in LA. I was born and raised in LA. I like to say I'm from New York, but I'm not. My dad is, but I was.
How you doing?
LA. Yeah, exactly.
What are you talking about? You kidding me over here? You looking at me?
No, that's my home. Whenever I go to New York, I just kind of feel much more emotionally connected there than I do to LA. Yeah.
So how often do you get to go to New York?
I would say I'm there 4 or 5 times a year.
Do you have family still there?
I have family on my dad's side still there, yeah.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
And as far as Broadway interest, was it Audrey Hepburn or visiting New York that got you interested in Broadway?
My grandfather, or Jiddu in Arabic, but he gave me a Broadway book of every single show from like Showboat to Lion King, and I would just stay home and study that for hours and hours and hours. And so every time we went to New York, I made a point of like seeing this show, and I've loved Audrey Hepburn literally since I can remember. So when I saw My Fair Lady, I think it helped my appreciation of Broadway more. Yeah.
You have siblings?
I do. I'm the oldest of 3. I have a sister, Carmen, who is 11, and Shane, who's 9. Yeah.
And how are they enjoying or dealing with your success?
I think when I go home, I'm still a normal kid. So when I go to set, I might get treated a bit differently, and I might, meet a bunch of fans. But like as soon as I go home, it's just about me doing my chores and reading a book and going to bed. Yeah.
Have you always been this together and mature your whole life?
I have incredible parents. And I think my parents have never been, the stage parents that are like, oh, no, Rowan, acting comes first. So I think they've definitely made a point. And I've made a point myself this past year because the show's success kind of happened very quickly. And it took a while for me to get used to it. So I think it was something where I kind of had to, I would have to go home and like block time out. All right, Rowan, this is your time with Netflix and like just time for me. And so I think, I've made a big point of that. My parents have too.
That's great. Talk about your co-star.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about Sabrina.
Sabrina and I are best friends on and off screen. They're working now. Today is our network run-through day, so we basically just go through all of the scenes for Disney, and Disney tells us what they do or do not like. And Sabrina, she's amazing. She just had an album that came out, Eyes Wide Open, on iTunes. Buy it. And I'm her walking ad. So
buy it now.
Buy it on iTunes. But no, she's amazing. Yeah.
That's great. And the chemistry obviously came from all of those different callbacks that you guys had. Were the two of you in those 8 different callbacks kind of in the same sessions as the decisions were made?
Yeah, we met, I think, in like the final ones. I want to say it was either the 6th or the 7th, but they were matching people, and it wasn't officially released that I was cast yet, but I was the only Riley that they were auditioning, so that's how I said I kind of had that feeling. Mm-hmm. But they were still auditioning Mayas, so like I met a few Mayas, and they were all great, but when I met Sabrina, it was like we just instantly clicked. And so Disney just told us, and they said, get outside and go Bond. So we just talked for like 30 minutes about Pink Floyd and Judy Garland, and I got her number, and then we started texting, and then she booked it, and yeah.
That's amazing. So with the chemistry that you guys have on the set, that's something that is like a producer's dream.
Yeah.
And that's why the show is so successful. A lot of what makes a show great, and the reason why producers go through the process and the casting directors go through the process they go through, is not just because a child looks the part or is talented, but there's something called chemistry. And that chemistry is something that you can't describe. It's basically 2 energies meeting and creating a greater than the 2 pieces. It's just something that's so easy and something that happens very naturally. And when producers find that, that's how you get an Emmy, basically, after your first season, or nominated for an Emmy, I should say. As far as the show and the direction of the show, you guys are, at this timeline in the script, I think in high school, right?
We're in 8th grade.
8th grade.
Yeah, we go to high school next year.
Okay. And is there going to be like a big transition for that, going from one to the other?
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this, but I know that our finale episode is us graduating. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I've heard that they haven't written the finale episode yet, but I know that that's what they want to do. But yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm always excited for finales because I think you have to, like, the writing has to balance, like, the whole character's summary in the past year, but also, like, make the bridge for season 3. So I think, I'm definitely excited to film our finale.
Where do you see your responsibility as a role model? Because it's a big deal. You've got all of these young people. Does Disney give you a hand and say, Rowan, this is how we can help you on the red carpet or social media? Is there something like that for you?
Back when we, just before we started season 3, we did this thing called media training with Disney, and basically they'd sit you inside a room kind of like this, and they just kind of give you pointers on, like, because it happens very quickly, and it happens so suddenly, and you don't want to make a wrong move, and now you have people that you have to be a model for. And so Disney was definitely helpful in the aspect that they just made it like, listen, you're still a kid. I mean, you're going to make mistakes, but you have people following you now, and just do the best you can for them.
I think the vision that you have in your head about Audrey Hepburn is really similar to the same vision these children have about you. You are their Audrey Hepburn,
Oh my gosh!
So
You don't even say that. Ah.
it's true. It's true. You mean that much to these children, and I think that that's something that is huge. So with that said, I've had different people over the years who are from Disney shows who've sat in this chair and told me, family's the most important, being yourself is most important. What I'm hearing from you is family and education.
Yes. No, education. I want to go to Columbia when I'm older, so it's definitely something that makes up a very important part of my life. We have a set school, obviously, and we're not homeschooled. We do this thing called independent study, where basically there's an actual physical school that we could go to, but we just get the textbooks instead from the school.
Is it online?
No, I don't do the online one. Some of us do, but it's mostly all textbooks. I find it's easier to do textbooks over online, but yeah.
Now, when you're filming, do you film next door to another show?
Yeah, we're on the same set as the new Disney show, Best Friends Whenever, and I didn't do it, was on our same lot, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Best Friends Whenever, that's obviously the new big thing. Landry Bender was here as a participant, like one of these kids out here, back in 2008.
I didn't know that. Landry's one of my best friends.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's great.
Isn't that unbelievable?
That is amazing.
So the connection for Premiere to have young people out there and have you here and have Landry, it's just kind of a kismet kind of thing. With that, it's such an exciting opportunity so that young people can really fulfill their potential. That's what Premiere is really all about. So that energy and that joy that you have for your job is so obvious. It's so brilliant to see how happy you are and how motivated you are. A lot of actors and actresses really, I guess, guys, Rowan really touched on a very big point. If you don't have good parenting, you're going to have a problem on that set. It's kind of like behind every nightmare child is a nightmare parent.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I think you can't blame the child, especially when they're so young, and the business it's so impressionable, and everybody takes everything, and you have so much access, and so I think having good parents is just so important.
Where do you said Columbia, but what do you want to do when you go to college? Do you have something in mind?
Yeah, I want to study. I want to major in journalism. I want to write. That's where I want to go.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very good.
I'm excited.
And who motivated you, who inspired you to be like that, or is that something on your own?
It's kind of a combination of everyone I've ever met and myself. I've always wanted to write. I've always needed words to tell my story, and so I think writing is kind of where I found an outlet, and so that's why I look up to our writers on the show so much. And I study every little thing they do, and I listen to every little thing they say, because I'm trying to accumulate as much knowledge as I can about that subject.
When you are on the show every day, what's a typical week like when you shoot the show?
So Wednesday is our first rehearsal day, and we have a table read. And so you guys probably know what table read is. You just take the script and then you read it at a table. It's pretty literal, and you read it for the network and all the writers, and you see what works and what doesn't work. And usually most of it doesn't work, but some of it does work. And then on Wednesday, we rehearse a little bit. And then on Thursday, we have our producer run through, which we go from set to set and act out all the scenes, kind of like a play. And then we get notes from the producers, and they tell us what to do for the network. And then Friday's the network show, and it's kind of the same thing. And then on Monday and Tuesday, we film, and Tuesday is our live audience day. Yeah.
So is there someone on the set who observes the Sabbath? Is that why you do it that way? You don't shoot on Friday night or Saturday?
Yes, that's actually why, yeah.
Oh, okay. The network, that's got to be a lot of pressure when you have network people in there. Because they've heard the joke maybe 5 or 6 times already, and they're not laughing, and you're still acting and smiling?
Right, right. I think, having the network can obviously bring like a level of Oh gosh, it's the network. But I think in season 1, like the first 10 episodes, I would always get like butterflies before the network run-throughs. But now, like I said, I think season 1 was such a learning experience for our characters, for the actors, for the writers, for the network. So I think season 2, we all kind of trust each other more. So there's less nerves, and it's more just like, all right, here's another Friday. Yeah.
When you first started going through the process of that show, was it difficult for you to like memorize your lines and get into the flow of that, and now it's just kind of easy because you know your character so well?
Yeah, it's kind of something that's come natural. I think in the pilot, like I had to work hard to memorize my lines, but what I didn't realize before I had done the show, because we're a multi-camera, so we do 3 days of rehearsal, but on shows like Modern Family, there's no rehearsal, and you just go straight into it. So I think the rehearsal, us doing our lines for 3 days in a row, so many times, the lines kind of bleed into our memory. And so also I think we know our character so well enough that it's become something that's much more natural.
Did the show get picked up for a full season originally, or did you have to kind of earn your episodes?
For season 1?
Yeah.
For season 1, I think we were originally picked up for 13, and then we got picked up for the back 8 or 9, I can't remember, and then we ended up doing 21 in the first season, and season 2, I'm not sure if we're allowed to say this, but we're doing 30.
Wow.
So that's a lot of episodes, and
That's
I'm
a lot.
scared.
I was talking to Trinity Stokes, who's on Casey Undercover, and she's here this week, and she was saying they did 30 episodes. That's unorthodox for them.
I'm not
That's a
ready.
lot of episodes.
We're doing 4 episodes in a row. I'm like,
Wow.
oof.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Now, before you knew the show was going to get picked up, and you got picked up, say, for your first 13, how many episodes in did you know that you were going to end up getting a full season?
I think we knew around 8 or 9. I could be wrong, but I feel like that's when it was. Yeah.
And how old were you when you first started auditioning in LA?
5?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I've been it's always been something that I just have always loved. And that's why he was saying like I'm so passionate about it, because it's honestly something like some kids play soccer, some kids play football, and I just love to act. And so that's how it always was. So when I was 5, like I would just, at Christmas dinners, I would just put on a play that I would make up by myself. And so one day, it was just taking the step of making it a professional thing. And yeah.
Did you have your first commercial booking be? Did you book a commercial? Was that your first gig?
I did. The first commercial I booked actually didn't even air in America. It was a Russian commercial. And then the next commercial I booked was an Advil commercial, and I actually learned to ride a bike on the set of that. Yeah. And I did like 20 commercials, and then I did a few guest stars, and then I booked the show. Yeah.
Did you do any guest star roles on any Disney shows before you booked Girl Meets World?
No, I had never done anything for Disney, I had auditioned for some of their stuff, but I didn't book any of it. And so when I got the show, I was a bit nervous at first, because I was like, oh gosh, like it's Disney, and I've auditioned for them before, and like I'm not sure if I'm gonna get this. But the script was something that was so well written, and I just immediately like fell in love with it. And so yeah, I think I'm one of 3 actresses who hasn't on the channel who hasn't guest starred before or something. It's
like very rare.
Yeah. No, it is, because Disney tends to hire within the family. And so for me not to have, auditioned for them or booked anything for them, yeah, it was cool.
Do you get to go on some publicity gigs that you say yes or no to, or some things you have to do?
There's some things I have to do, but then there's some things that I really love to do. Like the travel is the part of this that I really love. I love to travel, and so last summer I was given the opportunity to go to London and Madrid to promote the show overseas, which was really amazing and humbling, because like you know that there's like some amount of people in America watching it, but then you go over to like Spain, and all these people are like, I'm so excited for your show, and that's so incredible that the show reaches so many people.
It's remarkable because it's global. Yeah. The whole thing is global. Yeah. They have another Disney Channel in India and elsewhere. A lot of the role models that you guys are learning from when you watch TV every day, like Rowan, in the style of acting that's being portrayed on TV. I was telling Rowan that I think that she's one of the very few Disney Channel actors that really listens. Most of them are really just waiting to say their line. If you watch a scene on a Disney Channel show and you're looking at the actor that's supposed to be listening, they're just waiting to say their line. But Rowan actually really listens, and I noticed that when the other actors are saying their lines, if you take a look at her, you could see how in the moment she is and how responsive and connected she is. It's really, really brilliant. Did you have any sort of acting classes or anything to prepare you for the show?
My dad's my coach. I never went to any lessons or classes or anything. I know a lot of kids who do, and it was great for them. It just wasn't what was for me. But I mean, I know some of the kids on the show have done many, many classes, and that was great for them. But part of where I think I kind of got like super excited and passionate about acting, I would do like school theater, and I would do like Annie and stuff like that at my elementary school. And I think that's just such a good like building process because you get to see kind of the whole process of it all. And no, but my dad's my coach, and we work together every week on the show and everything. Yeah.
I always tell the children that having confidence in a scene is even more important than really knowing your lines. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Our writers always say, "I don't care what you say, just say it with meaning." And so I think we've all kind of taken that. Yeah. So I don't even really. I mean, I learn my lines, but I alter them because at the end of the day, I think it's more about what you're saying than the actual words you're saying.
And it really has to be real for you. And as you've developed this character, the writers in season 2, I'm sure, are accommodating those changes, and they're really finding your flow. Now, when you're in a comedic show like Rowan is, there's every scene that has comedy in it is like music.
Absolutely.
So she brings up Pink Floyd, and I go, okay, got it. But that's old soul talk right there, and that's something where, when you combine music and rhythm and beats, that's the undertone of what she's doing and what Sabrina is doing in the show. They're all following a beat and a rhythm in their own head, and the writers tell the story but follow their rhythm.
No, you're spot on. No, there's definitely a rhythm to, I think, all comedy, whether it's comedy in movies or a full camera or Modern Family or all these different shows or Louis C.K. Like there's just a rhythm to it. And there's, finding beats that, can go slower and then beats where, you want the pace. And it's just, I think it's part of finding that rhythm, I think is one of the coolest things about acting because it's just that you can play with rhythms and sometimes you'll be off because I know I've been. And then once you realize like when you're on rhythm, I think it kind of changes your perspective about comedy. Yeah.
I think when you're in a rhythm and you're in a scene with an actor and things are flowing, the words are just coming out and the energy is just connected. So it's different because when you guys get to that level of performer where you're not necessarily worried about the words and you're forgetting that there's a crew there and you're forgetting there's cameras there, all of a sudden words are coming out of your mouth and you're dancing.
Yeah.
You're moving. And that's the beauty. That's when you know something is working. Whenever performers talk about different things, like, I've had the privilege to know Robin Williams, and Robin was always somebody that had a very connected, very grounded, but then when he was on, and he was always looking for the rhythm, always looking for the beat. And you got to put your ear to the floor and listen for the music. And it's not about necessarily what you want in the scene, it's about what's coming at you and what you have to play with. And it's like being in a sandbox, and everybody gets a chance to kind of play and contribute. When you see like a William Shatner kind of chewing up a scene, that's someone who's listening to themselves. When you see like a Rowan acting, that's somebody who is really in the moment, and that's something that's so different. And that's why I think her style is so important to share with you guys, because it is not your typical Disney Channel actor. This is somebody who really has a career beyond Disney Channel and beyond that kind of thing. I think she could do many different things. If she wanted to do drama, she could do drama. If she wanted to do comedy in a film, she could do comedy in a film. This is the kind of young lady that could basically do what she wants with her career, as long as she's got the right support, which she does from her parents and from God, obviously. But that's something that really is going to be powerful. So I want you guys to be excited that she's here, but I also want you to be excited for the future that this young lady has.
Thank you. That's so sweet. Thanks, guys.
I'm super proud to have you here, Rowan. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
I can't wait to meet you guys.